Good afternoon. You are warmly welcome to Metacog Project Webinar. All that glitters is not real. Today we are talking about AI and disinformation. We kindly ask you to keep your microphone and cameras turned off during the webinar to help ensure both a smooth session and everyone's privacy. But you are more than welcome to submit questions for the speakers via the Zoom Q&A. Metacog is an AI literacy program for managing disinformation in European societies. It is designed to combat disinformation and fake news by fostering civic engagement and shared values in European societies. Metacog is funded by Erasmus Plus program, and it will last until the end of August 2027. Today's program will include keynote speakers from Jeffrey Dahl, asking why do we need Metacog, understanding AI's role in disinformation, Umair Ali Khan, using AI to detect the disinformation, and Andreja Mihailovic from Awareness to Action AI Literacy, in case Andreja is able to join us today. And then you will have a possibility to have your questions answered in a Q&A. Today's speakers include people from the participating organization. My name is Sari Korhonen. I am the project manager of the Metacog project. I am from Haaga-Helia University of Applied Sciences, that is the coordinator of this project. We have Umair Ali Khan, also from Haaga-Helia University of Applied Sciences, Jeffrey Dahl from the Hague University of Applied Sciences, and indeed Andreja Mihailovic from University of Montenegro. But now I will give the floor to Jeffrey Dahl.
Thank you, Sari. Let me get my screen up here. Hold on a sec. Right. Okay, yeah, so I see that we're covering a bunch of time zones. I'm in the US right now in Wyoming, so it's very early in the morning, and some of you, it's already evening. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody. Welcome. My goal is to spend a few minutes with you trying to answer the question why we need Metacog, and also to talk a little bit about why AI is making this information disorder, particularly disinformation, worse for us, and what we can do about that. So, as Sari said, Metacog is a 3-year project that we're working with a bunch of universities to try to create a massive online course that will teach students to deal with disinformation using both critical thinking methods and AI tools. And so then the question becomes, why do that? And to do that, first of all, I want to talk briefly about, just do some definitional stuff about what disinformation is and where that fits in disinformation disorder concepts. Then I want to talk about why we're looking at education as opposed to something like regulation, why we think education is the way to go. And then finally, look at how AI has significantly changed the landscape of these things. So to start then, let's talk about, there we go. Yeah, just to look at the scale of the problem. And I think these statistics are probably a little old at this time. 50% of EU citizens have encountered disinformation at least once a week. 89% of Americans report exposure to fake news at some point. When I was looking at my Instagram feed the other day, and I think every third or fourth post was disinformation or at least misinformation. And that could be because I look for that, and my feed is my algorithm is kind of curated to bring that up. But I think it's coming up a lot more than these statistics indicate for us. So let's talk about this, the disinformation disorder, or sorry, information disorder, and what that includes. First of all, we've got misinformation, and this is all about intent, right? So misinformation is when information is shared without knowing that it's false. Disinformation is deliberately sharing false information. And then malinformation is another subcategory where we use something that is true and use it to create a false narrative. So, for example, we want to indicate that a protest in a particular city is worse than it really is. If we wanted to create that narrative, we could bring up a picture or a film of a protest maybe 5 years ago on the same streets that was worse, and use that to try to indicate that the current protest is bigger or more violent than it actually is. So what's really interesting about this to me is, again, it's a matter of intent. So if one person spreads disinformation, starts putting something that's deliberately false out into the internet, into the social media sphere, and I read it and say, "Ooh, that sounds right to me," and then I repost it, but I don't know that it's false, that becomes misinformation, because my intent is no longer directly to deceive. My intent is to pass on something that I think is true. So, one person's disinformation can immediately become misinformation. Now, when we look at specifically disinformation, there's lots of things that we know fit into that category. And deep fakes are one. Those are films or videos that look hyper realistic, very real, but are completely made up. We have astroturfing, and that's a fake grassroots campaign. That's a very powerful method of disinformation. It makes us feel like there's this upwelling of intention along this narrative, and the whole idea here is to develop consensus and to build that. We all know about clickbait. That happens a lot. Echo chambers, that's a big one, particularly in my country, where we have groups of people that share information with each other, and then it builds up. This, particularly the algorithms help with this. That if you like a certain narrative or a series of social media type posts about a certain topic, you'll get more of the same, and you'll continually get more radical or more extreme the more you dive into it, because that's how the algorithms work. We also have social bots, which work in the social media realm and work automatically, but work to spread posts and information without any human actually having to interact. So these things are all happening, and all forms of disinformation, and it becomes a very powerful thing that we need to deal with. When we look at what we can do about it, the reason we come up with education is because, well, regulation is limited with disinformation. The first reason is free speech, right? We want to protect free speech rights. We want to avoid that slidey slope, towards an autocratic system, or a system that is shutting down people's ability to speak and to share their thoughts and expressions. And so, for example, in the U.S., disinformation is actually very protected, free speech. So the Supreme Court has indicated that false narratives are protected, because we don't want to go to that place where we're shutting down people's right to speak. But even if we're not looking at those rights of freedom of expression, we still are worried about over censorship. We're worried about chilling effect on what would otherwise be legitimate discourse. Platforms, so we can regulate platforms, but that's shown to be a very inconsistent approach over time, and is not reliable in terms of tamping down disinformation. And then we've got this other problem of satire and parody. And satire and parody are legally protected and should be, but often are very hard to distinguish from true disinformation. So that's why we don't want to deal with regulation has a place, but we think the way to go is through education, because we can build cognitive immunity, we can inoculate people, make people aware of the disinformation that's coming. We can give people control, an ability to work with their feed to curate their feed so that there's less disinformation coming across their social media feeds. We just know statistically that higher education on these issues directly correlates to lower disinformation vulnerability. And the wonderful thing is that when we're looking at a massive online course, we can scale content to the audience size that we need to very easily. And again, probably the most important thing is that what we're doing is we're targeting the root cause of spreading disinformation on social media, and that is uncritical behavior. So just posting things that or reposting things that appeal to us emotionally without examining whether they are true or false. So the Metacog pedagogical approach is, again, teaching critical thinking skills alongside using AI tools. And this is, in terms of the 3-year project that we're in, this is the part that we're in right now. We're in the part where we're actually designing the course content. So we have some things listed here that are the types of things that we will have in the course, but we haven't decided exactly what we're doing, where and when in the course. We're working on that now as we speak. And so, but it's going to contain some form of actionable skepticism, getting people to react skeptically to what they're seeing, rather than just immediately agreeing with it and reposting it, building awareness and inoculating people to the disinformation that's coming across their feed. Gamification is a possible way of teaching this type of system. Lateral reading is very important, and there's a bunch of different critical thinking methods that support lateral reading. But lateral reading is the idea that you look at something and you take that moment, instead of reposting it, you say, is this true? Is this right? And then you go look at another source or two and find out if that is the case. We do all this through a connectivist approach, which is kind of a hub and wheel. It's a very don't want to bore you with pedagogical details, but it's an approach that uses technology, uses peer-based knowledge construction to bring it all together for people. So that's why we think education is the way to go, and why we want to create a MOOC. So now let's talk about, finally, how AI has changed the disinformation landscape. First of all, AI can be used to generate. So, disinformation has been around as long as we've been printing media, so it's nothing new. What's new is we have an expanded ability through AI to create very persuasive, very real appearing disinformation. GANs, through GANs, which are paired AI neural networks, we can generate hyper-realistic deepfake images and videos. LLMs can produce very persuasive text. Voice cloning, we can fabricate audio. Someone can pick up my voice from this webinar and create, through AI, create another video or audio piece that has me speaking. It's my voice, even in another language, right, that I don't speak. And AI can do that. AI can also amplify this created material. It can use algorithms and to more effectively disseminate information quicker and faster. Social bots spread content faster than people can. And we can also personalize the targeting of information and disinformation so that it spreads quicker. And the impact is that it creates echo chambers and false narratives, destroys public trust, particularly in things like elections and governmental action, And then probably one of our biggest concerns about disinformation is its effect on elections and public discourse. This is a brief slide on the deep fake threat, and it talks particularly about these neural networks. But I want to focus mostly on the consequences of these, and this is the consequences of all forms of disinformation, is we have this thing called a liar's dividend. So even real footage becomes undeniable. We put it out there, and all this, and there's footage of some public official doing something, and that person can now say, oh, that's fake news. That is deep fake. That's not me. And it becomes because there's so much very real looking disinformation, it becomes easier for people to disavow stuff that is in fact real. We can use deep fakes for political manipulation. We can have candidates. We can deep fake things that they say or do and spread disinformation that way. This, of course, erodes trust. And then we have a huge issue with privacy violations. So these are all the things that AI does. And by creating fake images, we have very realistic disinformation that people can't tell from the real. We can have a lot of fake text, fake audio that is spread very quickly. Bots can spread things very quickly. The algorithms recommend and optimize for engagement rather than truth, and we can see that the whole idea of social media is to keep us engaged in the social media, to keep us scrolling, keep us doom scrolling. And then we can have this micro targeting of more susceptible and vulnerable individuals. And the bottom line is that with AI, we can make disinformation quick and easy, that more and easier to disseminate, create than it ever was in the past. Now, AI can also work on the other side, and Umair in a minute is going to tell you all about that. But we can use AI to counter disinformation. We can fact check. We can use it to detect deep fake. We can use it to help us moderate content on social media platforms. We can have what we're about to talk about, tailored AI tools for classroom use. And we can look at different ways to detect disinformation and promote hybrid and human oversight of social media platforms and other platforms to get the best results. So again, I like this quote, from the Carnegie Endowment: the most effective counter disinformation strategies empower motivated individuals to take control of their media consumption, instilling confidence and responsibility alongside skills. And that is what we're trying to do with Metacog. We're trying to develop this literacy. We're trying to scale it through a massive online course. And we intend to use evidence-based critical thinking methods to teach this, and also have our AI tools work alongside these critical thinking skills to help students see the disinformation that's out there. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Umair, who's going to tell you about these tools. Thank you.
Can you hear me, Miriam?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I will share my presentation. Sorry. Okay. So can you see my presentation?
Yes, but it's not.
Yes.
Okay, now, is it okay? Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Umair Ali Khan. I work as senior researcher in Haaga-Helia University of Applied Sciences. And my research is basically related to applied AI, machine learning, generative AI, and other similar topics. I also focus more on structured knowledge extraction and processing using large language models. Apart from that, I also work as an AI advisor in Finnish AI region project, where I help companies to adopt AI. In today's presentation, I will talk about how AI can be used to detect disinformation. So Jeff already gave you a very good overview of how AI can be used to both spread and detect disinformation. So I will keep it brief, and then I will proceed to Metacheck tool, which is an evidence-based fact-checking tool developed as part of Metacog project. I will present a live demo of it. So Jeff already gave you a good overview of disinformation and its impact. So it's a global problem which worsens in certain events like election, health crisis, and global conflicts. Especially the recent advancements in AI have led to a faster growth in disinformation, because AI can generate fake images, videos, and misleading text. Especially higher education institutes are more affected by disinformation, because both the students and teachers heavily rely on many online sources for learning and research. That said, AI can be used for detect disinformation and or verify information. However, a careful consideration and a transparent design is required that allows us to see the internal thought process of AI. That is how AI reaches a conclusion or a decision. There are many traditional AI-based methods to detect disinformation, which mostly use pattern matching to detect disinformation. That is, they detect certain features in text, images, and videos to detect the elements of disinformation. These models or methods usually require curating a data set, annotating the data set, and training AI models, which work in certain use cases, but for new use cases, we need to repeat the same process. Therefore, these models have limited scalability for a variety of modern disinformation. And this is where the recent advancements in generative AI have proven to be a game changer. Large language models can reason over new information. They do not require training data set. They do not require annotations, because they already have basic features of all the knowledge. In addition, LLMs can also integrate external knowledge sources. We can scrape many information from online sources, and we can provide it to LLM to reason over it. In addition, AI agents have also proven to be a game changer. AI agents can do planning of several tasks. They can do the decision making, and they can autonomously use various tools on the fly. So a typical pipeline of using generative AI for disinformation detection or information verification looks like this. So AI gets certain claims, or it can extract verifiable claims from a given text, article, or any input data. And verifiable claims refer to the claims which need verification, which warrant verification. AI can generate precise queries, and AI can collect evidence from various online sources, for example, General Web, Wikipedia, and authentic fact-checking websites. And then AI can synthesize all information. It can assign weights to different pieces of information. It can compute credibility scores of different sources, and it can create stances for individual sources. And at the end, it can generate a verdict against a claim, whether this claim is accepted, it is rejected, or it has insufficient or conflicting information. And Metacog is one such tool. It is an evidence-based fact-checking tool which works on the same principle. It is purely based on educational transparency, and the aim of Metacog is not to generate a verdict against a claim or a piece of information, but it is mainly focused on teaching the learners how to verify information and how AI's internal thought process and strategy works for assessing information or to detect disinformation. So it allows the user to generate their own assessment and then use AI to do the same assessment and compare their assessment with that of AI. And it also allows the user to see how AI reached that decision, how AI's internal thought process worked, what strategies AI took, and what potential vulnerabilities or weaknesses in AI decisions are. Metacog has two basic modes of working. One is a fast verdict mode, which is also called a basic mode, and it provides key sources, verdicts and their justification, and a confidence score against each decision. So it is good for quick checks. It runs fast, and it provides basic information against each claim. And the second mode is comprehensive mode, which provides full metacognitive breakdown. It shows the search strategy AI took, how AI assessed each sources, what are the underlying uncertainties, what are the potential assumptions, what are the potential weaknesses, and how AI compare different sources and how AI compare different alternatives. Metacog also uses a domain credibility taxonomy where different online sources have been rated differently. They have different credibility score. For instance, fact-checking sources which contain repositories of checked facts have the highest rating, 0.95, and other than fact-checking sources, we have governmental and international organizations which have 0.85 rating and so on. And at the end, we have some user-generated blogs like Reddit, Medium, which has the lowest credibility. So AI combines all these sources, it weighs all the sources, it computes the credibility scores, and then generates a final verdict against each claim with complete transparency. This is another view of how Metacog works. So this is a more technical view of its working. So the user gives an input, which could be a piece of text containing several claims, a blog articles, or any other text. And the tool first extracts verifiable claims from the text, and it shows the worthiness of each claim, like how much this claim warrants verification. And then it presents a list of each claim of all the claims to the user with all these worthiness scores, and the user may choose all or some of these claims for verification. And then the tool orchestrates multiple agents that run in parallel. There are as many agents initiated as there are claims selected by the user. So if the user selects 3 claims, 3 parallel agents are initiated, and each agent runs 3 different tools in parallel. So there are parallelism at agent level, and there is a parallelism at the tool level, so that we run the overall process in a fast way. So each agent collects evidence against the claim via web search, via using Wikipedia APIs, via using fact-checking APIs. And then all this evidence is synthesized, and we apply domain credibility classification, and the agents generate verdict against each claim. And at the end, the whole thought process or the whole working mechanism is revealed to the user. And the user can also compare their own assessment with that of AI and get feedback from the AI for further improvements. So now I'm gonna show you a demo of Metacog tool. You can also find it in YouTube. So the user can start with their own assessment. They can record their assessment. They can record their assessment against each claim. So they can provide input about their claim text, the verdict that reached, the confidence level, how many sources they checked, how much time they spent, and what is their reasoning for this claim, and the key sources they used. So they can record their assessment for as many claims as they want, and then they can use AI to do the same assessment. So you can see that we provided AI some text. Here are the 2 modes that I mentioned earlier. We are running basic mode, and the AI extracted many claims from the text. And you can also see the worthiness of each claim. The higher worthiness is, the more verifiable the claim is. And we can select some of these claims for verification, and we can run the verification pipeline. It is usually fast, takes 15 to 20 minutes in basic mode. And here you can see all the sources AI used and individual sources the AI cited and the stance for each source. We selected 2 claims for verification. So you can see the results for both the claims here. And then the user can compare their assessment with that of AI, how their assessment differs from AI, whether it is supported or there are any conflicts. So, and then they can analyze their performance with AI. So the AI can also give them feedback, how they assess the information and what are the potential improvements that they consider. And we can select comprehensive mode here. So the comprehensive mode usually takes longer because it collects a lot of evidence. It compiles a lot of information that you can see. So you can see individual snippets that the AI shows as evidence, and it provides more information against each source. It also assesses whether there is any contradiction among the sources, supporting weights, and from here, the metacognitive part of the tool starts, which shows the internal thought process or reasoning of the tool. So you can see the decision rule, decisive factor, and the decisive sources that help to reach the verdict, and the alternatives considered by AI, and why alternatives were rejected, confidence reasoning, and other confidence factors. And then it also shows you the search strategy that AI adopted, that you can see here. So this is for just one single claim. And then you can also see some potential uncertainties that AI flagged here, the assumptions that AI made, some potential weaknesses, and then a metacognitive summary, which shows the entire, which summarizes the entire process. Okay, so this is how the comprehensive mood works. And then you can find a comprehensive documentation of how to use this tool, how it works. It also includes some technical documentation that you can check here, how the agents are initialized, how they work. And if you are using this admin mode, you can also change several parameters here. And apart from that, you can read my article here, which describes in detail how the tool was developed and how it actually works. And here is the GitHub link of the same tool, so you can download the tool. You need OpenAI APIs to run the tool and use it. So going back to the presentation, I will now finish it. So the takeaway message is that AI can scale to new topics without retraining. It does not require any data set. It does not require any annotation. It can provide you reasoning and transparency, and it can show you its thought process. So the bigger picture is that AI literacy for information is not just about using these AI tools, but it is about understanding what AI can do and what it cannot do. And the tools like Metacog, they teach the process of verification, not just whether the information is correct or wrong. So here are a few resources that you can see, and I now end my presentation. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Umair. And now it's turn for Andreja to take this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi. Hi to everyone from Podgorica. It's a pleasure to be here with you in online form, unfortunately, today. I will now share my presentation for the sake of time. Just a moment. Okay. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So the topic of my presentation is from awareness to action, AI literacy. I noted that Jeff and I highlighted liar's dividend as the same concept that caught our legal perspective attention. So why AI literacy has become a democratic necessity? Because generative AI can now produce text, images, audio, and video that are very linguistically fluent, emotionally persuasive, visually realistic, and tailored to specific audience. So literacy is no longer technical skills reserved for engineers or data scientists. It has become a core civic competence comparable to media literacy or digital literacy in previous decade. So the biggest shift is that AI fundamentally changed the risk profile of disinformation. So where traditional disinformation, they relied on human effort and coordination. On the other hand, AI enables automatic production at scale, micro-targeted narratives, rapid adaptation to current events, and erosion of trust through plausibility rather than obvious falsehoods. AI literacy in the context of disinformation means the ability to understand AI as information actor. AI systems are no longer neutral tools. We are all aware of bias in historical data sets. So we can find the reflection in content, what content is created, what content is circulated, what content is amplified, and what content appears credible. So when we define an AI literate person, is the one who understands that AI does not know true, but optimize for probability, coherence, and engagement. As I often tell, AI is not programmed to tell the right answer, it's programmed to tell the answer. AI literacy includes, of course, awareness of AI-generated text, news-like articles, comments, political messaging, synthetic images and deepfakes, voice cloning and audio manipulation, hybrid content where humans and AI co-produce narratives. So detection is not just about spotting technical flaws, because modern AI content often has none. It's about context, critical thinking, and behavioral cues. AI literacy reframes critical thinking because instead of asking, is this factually correct, we increasingly need to ask, who benefits if I believe or share this? Who does this content appear now? Why is it emotionally framed this way? What data or assumptions might this AI system be reproducing? And what is missing or being simplified? Traditional media literacy is definitely no longer enough because it was designed for a world where content was produced by humans, sources were identifiable, and misinformation had visible inconsistencies. But AI-driven disinformation changes this landscape scale, because thousands of variations of the same narrative can be generated instantly. Then personalization, messages can be adapted very easily to specific cultural, political, or emotional profiles. Plausibility, AI content often sound more neutral and balanced than human propaganda, and it's very convincing. In speed, of course, false narratives can spread faster than a fast-checking mechanism can react. And this creates epistemic uncertainty when people stop asking, is this true, and start asking, can anything be trusted? Not because everything is false, but everything appears plausible. And liar's dividend is a new concept when the existence of convincing synthetic media makes it easier to dismiss authentic evidence as fake, weakening accountability and undermining public trust. Why this matters? At stake is not just misinformation detection, but trust in public discourse, democratic resilience, and social cohesion. When people lose confidence in their ability to evaluate information, the result is often disengagement, cynicism, or blind reliance on authority. So the Metacog project responds to this challenge by treating AI literacy as a learning journey, not just one-time intervention. It is designed to introduce AI literacy concepts accessibly, explain how AI interacts with disinformation ecosystems, empower learners with the practical analytic frameworks. So the focus is on technical, not only that technical depth, but on conceptual clarity and real world relevance. Participants will learn, hopefully, how AI systems generate and recommend content, how disinformation strategy evolve together with AI, and how to evaluate information in AI-mediated environments. So the engagement strategy is active engagement, not passive consumption. Participants are not treated as end users, but co-learners, co-testers, and co-contributors, because AI literacy is not static, it evolves alongside technology. So the engagement strategies are focused on interaction rather than instruction, reflection rather than memorization, and feedback rather than one-way delivery. If I need to choose one key takeaway message, it would be that AI literacy is not about fighting technology, it's about coexistence with technology, about understanding power, influence, and responsibility in AI-mediated world. So that's the core strength of projects like Metacog that aim to ensure that AI strengthens critical thinking instead of undermining it. Education to ensure that education keeps pace with technological change, and that citizens remain active participants in the shaping of information space. That's all from my side. I will be happy to respond to any further questions.
Thank you so much, Andreja. And now it's time for Q&A. So please use the Zoom Q&A function to ask your questions, and our experts will answer you. There's at least one question for Umair.
Yeah, I see this question. So it's about whether we can use a OpenAI's real-time API so that we can interact with the agent in a more naturalistic way, like just by speaking. Yes, it is possible, but when it comes to evidence collection and showing the whole internal thought process, we cannot expect a real-time response because it takes time. So even if you are using the basic mode, which shows you basic information, it still takes like 15 to 20 seconds. So yes, we can use OpenAI's real-time APIs for this.
I have one more question. This is directed to Jeffrey. So disinformation has always been a thing. So how exactly does AI make it a bigger problem now?
Yeah, I mean, a great question, because I think I talked a little bit about this already, but the whole idea is that disinformation has been around as long as as humans have been sharing information. It's not new. It's been part of the political landscape. It's been part of the people bought newspapers, in the old days, so that they could spread their opinions, whether they were true or not. Pamphlets are distributed, manifestos are distributed, all these things. So disinformation is not a new concept. It's this, and even in the modern context, when we look at social media, 5-10 years ago, you used to be able to look at a post and you could kind of tell it was not right because the grammar was wrong. There was something about the visuals that was not quite put together. Early image generation by LLMs. Often you remember 6 fingers, 2 hands, 3 hands. All these things you could look and say, okay, there's the third arm. That's an AI generated photo. We could do those things. But that's all getting better and getting better so quickly that the quality of the disinformation, the quality of the text, we can't find the errors that we used to find that would say, yeah, this is not right. And so it's becoming very accurate, very, very indistinguishable from real, even better than real sometimes. And then of course, the propagation methods, AI can help us if we want to create a disinformation campaign. AI can help us focus on vulnerable individuals, on individuals that are most likely to be affected by the disinformation campaign, and the people that we want to affect to make the changes, the political changes, or the political discourse changes that we want to make. And then the speed at which it all happens is becoming much quicker in terms of bot usage has always been a thing with social media, but now it can be directed and accelerated through the use of AI, and that it just becomes quicker, more efficient, and it becomes very easy to quickly establish a disinformation program. One of the things that X, formerly Twitter, just released earlier this year, released data indicating a lot of the information in the political discourse in the U.S. was actually coming from foreign-based sources. There's the idea that there's particularly these grassroots-based ideas or plant false news reports, with news journals in other areas, in other parts of the world, and then start repeating them over and over again. And just the acceleration of the information, the accuracy of the information, the way it's propagated, it just all becomes more efficient, easier to do, and requires less person power to make it happen. I hope that answers that question.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And now I have another question directed to Umair. So how can we use this tool that you just presented?
Yeah, so like I said, that the tool is open source and it is available on my GitHub repository. I can also share the link of that GitHub repository in the chat. So I hope everyone can see this link. So you can visit this repository and you can see all the instructions. Of course, it requires a bit of technical understanding, like how to download this tool, but you can find all the required guidelines, how to install the tool. So you can see a Docker image of the tool. You can just download it and run it in a Docker application. So all you will need is an OpenAI's API key. You can pay for it. So like you can recharge €5, €10 for testing this tool. So this is all you need. But in case if you have any difficulty in installing the tool, in using the tool, so you can always write to me. Yes, I can see this question in the chat. So it says that I want to know if it could behave as emotional as human, or so basically the real-time API does detect some emotions from the speech, but it's at a very basic level. So you cannot use it like a lie detector or something. So of course it can tell you whether the speaker is happy or sad or something like this, but at this level it doesn't go more than this. So if you are talking about detecting some emotions to know whether the speaker is lying or if he is pretending to be someone else, so that's not possible, if I understand your question correctly. So of course it understands emotions at some level, and it can also respond you in the same way, but it cannot do more than this at the moment. I hope I answered your question.
And there is a final question. We have time for one more, which is how can we use this tool in a classroom setting?
So like I mentioned earlier, this tool has been developed from educational perspective. So the purpose is to teach the users how to verify information, how to detect disinformation using the best principles, the known standard rules. So how we are going to use this tool in classroom is we are going to create several exercises for the users where they will have to assess given information. They will have to extract claims from the information through a manual process. They will create their own assessment, and then they will use AI to do the same assessment. And this is how they can compare their own assessment with that of AI. And they can check AI's thought process. They can check the difference between their own strategies and AI's strategies, and they can get feedback from AI. And in future assignments, they can follow AI's feedback to do better. So this is how we plan to do this.
Yeah, and just to add to what Umair is saying is that this application dovetails perfectly with the critical thinking skills that we want to teach as well, and it illustrates them, supports them, and emphasizes them. So it works really well in that way and is very appropriate for classroom use in that way.
Thank you, everyone. This was really, really enlightening. I have learned a lot today. And now we actually have two very short polls because we would like to hear about your feedback about this webinar and then some future ideas for our future webinars. So I will launch the first poll and please, it will take you like 5 seconds to answer. I think everyone has replied now, so thank you very much. I can share the results here because they are really promising and positive. I hope everyone can see them now. So thank you very much. And then the final poll about the next one. So here you go. So you can write an open answer. We would like to receive your ideas about the topics that you would like us to address in our future webinars. And if you don't have any ideas, you don't have to answer. It's only if you want to, if you have some specific needs.
Okay, thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate your time and interest, and it has been a pleasure to share our work with you. You are welcome to follow us on the social media channels shown here to keep up with our latest news and project updates. And we look forward to seeing you again in our future events. Thank you so much.